Alright, we've explored full evolution lines for courage, friendship, sincerity, but what's next? Well, nothing more, nothing less. Love is the best. What is up, digital companions? My name is Karn EX and welcome back to another video. And hey, if you're new here or if you haven't yet, totally fine. I would really love it if you'd consider subscribing. I am still sick on social media of seeing people insisting that like Digimon's fallen off or that Digimon isn't as good as Pokemon. Brands can coexist, guys, but it is my mission statement to prove to the world at large that Digimon has still got an active and amazing fan base. And I would love to be able to get the silver play button, 100,000 subscribers, to prove to the world that Digimon is not going anywhere. And just because you're not paying attention doesn't mean people don't love Digimon. So if you consider subscribing, it would mean the absolute world to me. I asked about this a few videos ago and the response was absolutely amazing, so I do appreciate it. I know it's kind of cringe when YouTubers ask for subscribers, however, I do truly believe it is the best metric we have of proving to the outside world how popular Digimon still is. Thank you so much. And yes, today we are going to be doing the full evolution lines for the Love Armor Digimon. You've probably seen all the videos in this series so far, but if you haven't, here's a quick catch-up. Basically what we're looking to do is create an anime-style evolution line for the Armor Digimon. Not just the ones in the show like we've done before, but all Armor Digimon, as if these partner Digimon got to Digivolve conventionally. Once again, I'm of the opinion that most of the Love Armor Digimon are around the power level of a champion. You can see this, for example, with Terramon, whose X antibody is considered a champion in the reference book, despite Armor Digimon typically not having a level or being the Armor level. As such, I'm going to be trying to find an Ultimate and a Mega for each of these picks, and my general mission statement is to find something that works evolving off the champion or the armor, but also maybe tries to tie in some more lore nods or visual connection to the rookie to make some odd armors feel less odd, like Patamon to Pipismon, for example. We will get there. And like I say, I've done this before for the 0-2 canon armors, and in that video I gave Hawkmon to Halsamon, either Sindoramon and Butenmon, or Zuchaomon or Crossmon. I am a big fan of the idea of the armors eventually becoming the sovereigns somehow, so I do like Halsamon to Sindoramon as a Deva and Zuchaomon as a Mega. If you don't like using Devas and Sovereigns, I think Butenmon and Crossmon works well too. So that brings us to Vmon, who normally Love Armor Digivolves to Sethmon, and you can see how this is a Love Armor. Very reminiscent of Halsamon, but more like a dinosaur, and it's red apparently because it's love turned to hate, and that's a fun theme to explore. My thought process here is pretty straightforward, and that is having Sethmon become Doruguremon and Dorugoramon. They're all kind of like dinosaur adjacent or dragon adjacent, and are winged, plus Doruguremon has some of those metallic elements that we could translate from Sethmon. I can really easily see how this metal part of Sethmon could transmutate into the metal parts of Doruguremon. Some people will also say, of course, that Dorugreymon is a Greymon in the dub, or the English versions of Digimon. And that is true, and it's a fun nod, but it's not really the primary motivator for me picking this. But of course, Vmon is connected to Agumon and the Greymon family. It uses the Courage Armor Digi-Egg in the show, and it's the successor to Agumon. I also like that while Doruguremon keeps the red of Sethmon, when it becomes Dorugoramon, it becomes bluish again to kind of bookend the line, with a blue Digimon into two red Digimon and ending on a bluish Digimon. And also that makes every evolution in this line, apart from Sethmon, a member of the Dragon's Roar, just like Vmon himself. Again, kind of unifying the line somewhat. I think it's also fun that Doruguremon, Dorugoramon have death equivalents, and I think the idea of love turned to hate of Sethmon could also translate to loving someone to death, or till death do us part, with the death versions of the Dorumon family. Armadillomon, with the Digi-Egg of Love, becomes Terramon. And I kind of get this somewhat. It's a flying Digimon, and it's a dinosaur. It's ancient, and Armadillomon is one of the ancient Digimon, so this kind of makes sense. My brain initially went to just a very streamlined line, adopting the Jazzamon line by making Terramon become Jazza-Richmon and Metallic Dramon, and I think that works pretty great. Terramon is obviously encased in the metal, kind of the Digi-Egg of Love, so it becoming a fully silver metallic evolution line of bird dragons, which I guess a pterodactyl kind of is. It's a flying dinosaur. Works. However, a different idea I had was having Terramon become Cargo Dramon. I made this connection in my D Brigade video, but I do really like visually Terramon or Terramon X becoming Cargo Dramon. But instead of using Brigade Dramon as the Mega here, I instead think Aegis Dramon might work. Aegis Dramon is a fusing of Plesiomon and Seadramon data. And while Terramon isn't a cyborg like Aegis Dramon, I definitely think it could qualify as one. In addition to this, Aegistromon's coloration matches up quite nicely to Armadillomon, our originator rookie, and that Plesiomon data lines up nicely to Gomamon. Plesiomon being the other contender for Joe's Gomamon's Mega in a lot of media besides Tri. And Armadillomon Armor Digivolves to Submarimon with Joe's Crest, the Digi-Egg of Reliability, connecting Armadillomon to Joe, to Gomamon, to Vikemon and Plesiomon. And also Vikemon is generally the Bandai official Mega for Shakuamon somehow. We see this in a lot of media. It's not actually happened in Toei Animation 02 products yet, but in like the set Beginning Observer, they had Vikemon as the Mega for Shakuamon. So having Plesiomon data in Aegistromon for an Armadillomon, Terramon, Cargodramon line, I think works pretty great. Alright, so Patamon and Pipismon. You might think I would struggle with this, but I had what I think is a moment of genius. I really actually struggled the least with this because something immediately came to me. However, it's really up to you whether you want me to use X antibodies in these videos or not. I can make it work without X antibodies, however, I'm going to propose my X antibody idea first and see what you think. So Patamon becomes Pipismon. You know, bats fly, I kind of get that idea. It being a bat connects to like ultrasonic waves and things like that. I can almost see this, not for Patamon, but okay, fine, whatever. How do we make this work? Well, Pipismon being this creepy bat immediately sets me up to have it digivolve to Myotismon. Myotismon's official art depicts it surrounded by bats. Its whole motif folds in bats. Or indeed, we could use its X antibody, which does lose a few of the more overt bat-like elements, however, I think would transition much nicer into our Mega, because whether it's Myotismon or Myotismon X, I am obsessed with the idea of this line ending on Lucemon X antibody. It's a demon lord, but also a fallen angel, and Lucemon X antibody in particular, as a Mega level Digimon, unlike Fall Down mode, looks so visually similar to the Angemon family that it makes a perfect cohesion in my opinion. And in particular, Lucemon X digivolving from Myotismon X I think is a very strong visual connect. Even though both versions of Myotismon are blonde haired, I think the blonde hairing build of Myotismon X transitions more nicely into Lucemon X. This way the theming actually works. Patamon, with that full potential of becoming the Angemon family, digivolves into the seemingly random Pipismon, but when you add Myotismon or Myotismon X here, the bat elements suddenly make sense. Myotismon as a villain to the adventure, Angemon again is great. You can take this as an interpretation of love draining you, or the bad side of love or something, which again isn't fantastic for Patamon, but if we're forced to use Pipismon, kind of at least creates some thematic lineup. And then with Lucemon X on the end, sure, it's meant to be an evil Digimon. However, its reference book does say that Lucemon X has kind of transcended what it was as Lucemon and become basically a god of destruction and creation. So maybe Lucemon X itself isn't actually as inherently evil as perhaps its Fall Down mode or Satan mode. However, again, if you don't like this, you want Patamon to be redeemed somehow, I do also think something like Myotismon transitioning into Dominimon or Seraphimon would work fine. I think I'd probably err on Dominimon to not reuse Patamon's Mega from Adventure, with Myotismon's bat-like and demon tendencies being redeemed, you know, and becoming a holy Mega. However, I think visually and thematically, Patamon, Pipismon, Myotismon, Myotismon X, and Lucemon X is just amazing. And would hint a little bit of that darkness of TK in 02, where he rocks the Digimon Emperor's stuff. Moving over to Gatomon, treated as a rookie because she doesn't have her tail ring, she Armor Digivolves to Swanmon with the Digi-Egg of Love. This is fun, I can kind of see how this works, like a more serene swan, the bird-like elements of Halcymon and the Digi-Egg of Love. Translating that though into an evolution line proved difficult. I thought of course about Gatomon normally becoming Angelwomon and Nefertimon in 02 with the Digi-Egg of Light, that angelic side to her. So how to translate that? Well, Gatomon becomes Swanmon. Love that. The ultimate may seem a little off initially, but bear with me because I am setting up the Mega with this. I am going to have Swanmon digivolve to Sirenmon, a pretty visually similar Digimon, but with a little bit more humanoid elements going on. Despite it having this like very bird and fairy appearance, you can see how there's kind of a girl under there somewhat, which I think is fun for how Gatomon becomes a woman with Angelwomon. Sirenmon is also kind of associated in some pieces of media with the Olympus 12 member Ceresmon, and Ceresmon's kind of tempting for a Love Armor evolution, although it kind of looks like a blending of love and sincerity. So instead, I thought about another Olympus 12 member that heavily reminds me of Angelwomon, and indeed I like as an Angelwomon evolution, and that is Venusmon. Venusmon is depicted with a white dove. It's not a swan, but it is a white bird, and I think that makes for an excellent visual evolution line. Gatomon, instead of to Angelwomon or even Nefertimon, to Swanmon, then Sirenmon, the humanity peeking back through the potential of that angelic nature from and Jewelmon, ultimately resulting in the Venus de Milo, the Olympus 12 member heavily associated with white doves. I just love that. And that brings us finally to Wormmon, who becomes Owlmon with the Digi-Egg of Love, and this is a challenge, right? You got Wormmon, the bug, becoming the owl, which I guess would eat the worm, you know, early bird. How do we combine its two halves? Owlmon has this head armor in particular, which made me think perhaps about its evolution being Parrotmon. It retains an armored headpiece, it kind of has these two eyebrows that remind me of Wormmon's antenna, and of course its body is a majority green, which does call back nicely to Wormmon's coloration, I think, while still being a good evolution for Owlmon. The Mega though, well, I touched on this just previously, I do think Ceresmon would be an excellent pick here. However, to me, Ceresmon feels more like a merging of love and sincerity, so I would like to use it here. However, I do have an alternate take, and that is Myrmicusmon. Myrmicusmon took the form of birds, Hippogriffamon and Darkmon in the Frontier movie, and retains an armored head, with a reasonably green body and wings, admittedly more bat-like wings in this instance. I definitely think Myrmicusmon is a great Parrotmon evolution, and I think in this line of Wormmon to Owlmon to Parrotmon to Myrmicusmon, it works very well. Myrmicusmon even originally was a high-ranking angel Digimon that fell from grace and became a Demon Lord, although not one of the 7 great Demon Lords, which could be a fun parallel to the way that Ken fell to become the Digimon Emperor and then was redeemed later. Maybe this Myrmicusmon could also be redeemed. However, evil-looking Digimon or Digimon with evil intentions in their reference book have been proven time and time again to not have to be inherently evil Digimon. Even though Beelzemon initially very much lived up to his Demon Lord nature in Tamers, by the end he's redeemed. And indeed we see this again in things like Digimon Survive. I'm not going to show them, but there are evolutions for partner Digimon that are typically evil, villainous Digimon, but are the hero's partner evolution lines in this instance. So I'm actually really fine with using Myrmicusmon here. He even has a kind of worm-like tail, which I think is fun. And his connection to birds is very strong. He even has a kind of Parrotmon feeling chest piece, I would say. So I'm personally going to go with that. Wormmon, Owlmon, Parrotmon, and Myrmicusmon. And that is it. My picks for evolution lines, full evolution lines for the Love Armor Digimon. Hawkmon to Halcymon to Sindoramon to Zuchaomon, Vmon to Sethmon to Doru Greymon to Doru Goramon, Armadillomon to Terramon to Cargodramon to Aegistramon, Patamon to Pipismon to Myotismon X and Lucamon X, Gatomon to Swanmon to Sirenmon and Venusmon, and Wormmon to Owlmon to Myrmicusmon. Let me know your picks in the comments down below. This is always just a bit of fun, not objective. I just love putting these videos together, so thank you for watching. Make sure you are checking out my new channel, Karn Ultra. However, if you want to hear from me about all things besides Digimon, video games, anime, all sorts of other things, do subscribe over there. We are really racking up that channel. I'd love it to be able to be a partner so that I can make a living out of all of the things I'm interested in, not just Digimon. And thank you to my patrons over on patreon.com/Karn EX for making that goal a reality, including my sovereign ZDK14, who I appreciate very, very much. Thank you to my sovereigns, everyone else over on Patreon, and my channel members here on youtube.com/@Karn EX or @Karn_EX. At handles are super weird. You are all holding it down too. I really do appreciate you channel members. Thank you all so much, and I'll see you next time when we go digital. Bye-bye!